Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back with another video, and this is going to be another episode of Building Kamino in LEGO. Before we get into the update, I gotta give a very special thanks to those of you who are willing to go above and beyond and contribute monetarily to this build via donations on the live streams. So shout out to Vexel Build, Todd Rowe, Plaster610, Strokes, and Brick Freak. You guys are so awesome. I say this every week, and I truly mean it. Those of you who are willing to contribute to the mod just mean the world to me, and it really does help make Kamino possible. So if you're not tuning into the live streams, I mean, I don't know why you aren't. Let's go ahead and play some highlights from the last live stream.
Oh,
okay.
What is this? Oh, no. Guys, I don't even know what this is, but this is the most cringe thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god. This is okay. It's like an AI picture of. It's supposed to be like a young Anakin Skywalker. This is easily the most cringe thing I've seen in a very long time.
Oh my god!
Why is he at a pool?
No.
It's probably just a classic AI mistake, but I love how they gave him one hand.
Accurate.
Oh yeah.
It's foreshadowing.
I mean, yeah. It is. It is
It's foreshadowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo, girls be like, I know my worth just to get played by a guy who looks like that.
Just get played by whoever this guy is.
The shirt almost looks like a guy version of like Ahsoka's clothes. Like Ahsoka has like the random boob window in her Jedi outfit. This is like the guy equivalent of it. It's like an ab. Yes, exactly, an ab window. Bro, Dave Filoni has gone gay.
And if that's not enough to convince you to tune in, there is always a PayPal donation link in the description of the video. I can't say enough that these just really, really help Kamino. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. And another way you can help support the build is by purchasing the instructions to one of my beautiful Republic Gunship designs. I actually got 2 of them sitting right here over my shoulder. Instructions on how to do that will be in the description of the video. Now, as for Kamino, this week we actually got started on the interior. I've been saying it for the longest time, but this week we actually did it. So I'm super excited to show you guys what I came up with. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I feel like it's the moment of truth. We are finally working on the interior of Kamino. Now, before we actually can get started with the build, we're going to have to cover up this bottom section and give it an actual floor. And I first started off by building up a little plate grid to basically just give the 16 by 16 plates that I will be adding to this a bit of a structure to sit on. How the floor was going to be implemented into this was not something that I initially considered when I designed it, so there's a lot of big gaps that aren't necessarily conducive to any particular layout of plates, but adding this plate grid in above the current structure not only improves the structure, but also just gives the place a far more comfortable place to sit in. One of the biggest challenges with laying all these plates on top of this grid was working my way around the wires. If I had a chance to redo this, I would probably just have all the wires run exclusively under this grid and then have them all meet at one point if I, for whatever reason, needed them to come, above the floor. But that's not what I did, so it took a little bit of time for me to try to work around the wires and basically get them in a position where I could build on top of them, because ultimately they're going to need to be below the floor. I was able to knock out adding tiles to most of these big plates on the live stream, but once I finally got them applied, it turned out that I didn't quite build enough of them, so then I took the next live stream to finish them up and then finally apply them to the Kamino build. When I initially ran out of plates with tiles on them, I just started laying down normal plates just to figure out the sizing and everything that would need to eventually be covered by the floor. But after that live stream, I went back in, I tore those up, and I put down the plates with the tiles on them. I have to admit, it is quite fulfilling to see this room with a floor in it finally. It's not, as nice as seeing the full thing built up, but it is cool finally seeing it start to actually kind of look like a room and not just a mess of giant Technic beams and plates flowing throughout this entire thing. So now that we got, a nice solid base, I kind of started not prototyping, not really, but just added in a semicircle or quarter circle actually in the middle here, just because everything's going to kind of meet in the middle right here. So I just kind of needed this here for spacing, as I was going to figure out not only how to do the wall like stair sections, but also these giant like builds that are going to come out from the wall. I'll show you guys a photo. I actually just have a photo showing right now, but those are the 2 things that I'm going to figure out for this update. So I think first I'm going to go ahead and work on some designs for those wall stair things, and we're going to see how it goes. So this is the design I came up with for one of the wall stair sections. There's basically like two halves to it, and you can see it's hinged right here. I don't necessarily need that hinge there, but I kind of put it there just to get these to stay together. And you can see it closes up pretty nicely, those gaps, and the angle is actually perfectly angled to these walls over here. So basically there will be one of these connected to each wall section, and I have like a clip here, and it's gonna plug into like one of these guys right here. So the idea is, you know, the one main section here is gonna line up and connect to this wall, and then another one will connect here, and then this is kind of where they will meet. I did cut this one short. You can see a normal one would have that black stripe. This one doesn't, however, because I'm going to need to basically build out those big sections I was telling you about, the big white, like long structures that kind of come out. Those are gonna be in the middle of some of these. So while some of them will be full sections like this, some of them will need to be like, I guess, 1/3 sections in order to accommodate the big white structure that's going to be in the middle here, and then it'll just resume on the other side and go all the way around. So I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. Relatively simple design, but pretty effective. And it looks clean, looks pretty, you know, consistent with the rest of the designs that I've done on pretty much every other part of this thing, just trying to make circles come together in Lego, which is never a super straightforward thing. So now that we got that together, I'm going to prototype the big white structure, and I'm going to show you what I got there. And here is what I came up with for that big white structure. I think it kind of resembles like an Adidas shoe, but I think it looks so nice. This was easily the most difficult thing that I've had to figure out so far for the interior of Kamino, but I'm very happy with the result. So it's basically just, I think, like, you know, 3 or 4 sub-assemblies. There's like this section, and it's really just this section, So 4 sub-assemblies, and then I had to figure out the spacing between them with like these sections right here in order to basically fill the gaps. Obviously there's no straightforward Lego piece that lets this curved section do that shape right there, so I tried my best to fill it with either these wedge, like cheese wedges or cheese graters right there, or here I'm actually using that like curved slope with a cut in it. I think that actually turned out pretty well. And there's also this giant black pipe that goes through it. And, you know, funny enough, like in the process of me working on this, there's like a set from Dreams that leaked that actually has the 3x3 like cylinder, but like as an angled piece, but it's not in black, so I'm not going to count on that being available anytime soon. But it was kind of funny that I spent like a bunch of time, you know, trying to put some slopes in there to kind of fill these gaps, and then Lego just releases the piece. Not really releases, but the piece that I, you know, ideally would use here ends up leaking. So that was kind of funny. I do probably need to push the slopes forward a little bit. They're not lined up as they should be, so there's probably more gaps in there than there normally would be. I think the bottom one looks pretty good though. So yeah, this is pretty much what I came up with for that big white structure. We also got this guy right here. This is going to basically hide the you know, jagged sections on the back. So that's gonna line up against the wall, and then this will kind of slot inside it. It'll fit between those stair sections that I built, and everything should work out pretty well. There's also these gaps down there, but no worries. Those are gonna be covered by the stairs. Once the stairs are the correct height, they'll cover those up pretty nicely. So let's go ahead and see if I can get everything to fit together. When trying to line up all the sub-assemblies into the dome, I had a bit of an alarming realization. I actually built this white assembly way too tall. It's basically supposed to line up with almost like the very top of that white wall, but it was so much taller than that. I guess my Lego math just didn't work out. That's kind of the trouble when going between 2 rooms to work on these things. Like basically I come to this room to kind of look inside the dome and figure out what I'm going to need to build, but most of the actual build work takes place in my, you know, proper Lego room, the same one that I live stream in. So a lot of the times, like if I need something like of a specific measurement, I will, you know, measure it and then use that number when I go back and build, but I'm not really going back and referring to it pretty much until the build is done. And as you can see, that kind of bit me in the butt here. So fortunately, it was an easy fix, just taking some pieces off the bottom by still trying to maintain the ultimate angle, so I didn't have to do too much reworking, but it ended up all working out. after a little bit of tinkering around, I was able to get this middle section right here to get slotted in there between the edge wall stair stepper sections, and it looks pretty good. Like I can hardly see around the corner without the camera, but at least from this view, like that looks pretty spot on, pretty sleek. You'll notice there are some gaps in there. That's just because these are actually lower than they're going to be. They're actually going to be about 2 studs higher, so it'll sit up till about here, and it'll end up covering up those gaps as well as the ones at the bottom. So no worries about anything there. So now that I know that this is going to work out, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the update by building out pretty much the stairs that go out to this point. Just going to finish it up until here. I'm going to get them elevated to where they should be. I'm going to maybe see if I can get the wall built up here. If I can just have like a full scene kind of set right here, at least for the wall edge sections. I think that would be a really, really good way to end the update. So let's go ahead, set up a time lapse while I go ahead and finish up these edge wall sections. I gotta say, I am a fan of the finished product of these side wall stair things. Now let's go ahead and get them installed in the dome. All right, guys, we got everything set up and oriented correctly, and it is actually looking pretty freaking cool. I think the stair sections on the walls come together so nice and seamlessly, nice and round, as are most of the things in this build. Also built up this little wall / railing section that's on the edge. Gonna probably have to snip those guys so they're flush with the walls, but I'm gonna leave them open because at some point I'm gonna cover up all this stuff on the side, and then I guess I'd want it to be like perfectly flush with that, and I'm not quite sure exactly how far it'll be yet, so that'll be a task for another day. Also, really gonna need to replace that that gray lightsaber with a white one, because right now that is kind of an eyesore, and that's definitely not how I want this to be. Here's a top view. Everything lines up pretty nicely, nice and flush against this guy right here. I did build out this section in here, basically to kind of get an idea for the wall that's going to come out alongside this. I guess it's basically kind of like a grid type pattern, a circular grid type pattern, if that makes sense. And inside here is going to be one of the training areas where you'll see clones engaging in nefarious activities or whatever the heck they do in this room. So that's going to be pretty cool, but there's going to be, another wall covering that, but this side's going to be open so you can get a nice, easy view at it, and there's going to be another, I don't know what you'd call it, another curved wall right here, and then there's going to be another room kind of in here, and it's going to continue around this entire build until it's filled up. So super excited that I have the basis of most of the designs now. I'm still going to need to figure out that middle wall, but honestly, I really think that the hard parts of the inside of this room, at least for the outsides, the middle part's still going to be something that I need to figure out, but the hard parts for the outside walls have definitely been figured out. Also gonna need to get those like light fixtures or like little builds that I did on stream a while back, get those put up on the walls, and then do the ceiling as well, which will come in time, but not super concerned about that now. Right now, just happy to finally have something on the inside of this. It's no longer just a mess of Technic in here. It's no longer just a blank slate of tiles. There are actually things inside the Kamino dome. And if you take like a pulled back view, you can see I got quite a bit of space to fill, but I think it's going to look pretty dang impressive once we finish that up. So also just throw a minifig in there to give you guys an idea of the size. It's, you know, not a massive room by any means, but still is pretty big, big enough to accomplish the things that I would like to accomplish in here. I know a lot of people were asking, you know, if I could put like a base plate or something in here to give an idea of just how big it is. I don't have a base plate handy, unfortunately, but here is your minifig for scale so you can get an idea of just how much room there actually is in here. And yeah, I'm just so happy to be making some progress on the inside of this thing. So really, that's all I got for you guys this week. I think that really figuring out all the angles in this was by far the most difficult thing I had to do, but I think it came out pretty well, and I'm gonna have to build a lot more of those. I think there's gonna be like 4 or 5 of those in total in this room. So I'm gonna get parts for that. I'm gonna make sure I have enough parts for the wall railings, and then also gotta figure out the design for the inner part of the grid. It's gonna kind of meet towards this middle section right here, and then eventually we're gonna start building up and have like hallways kind of coming out of that, and then also gotta have those baby tube things. So a lot of things are gonna have to fit in this room, but I think we can do it. I think we can figure it out. So that's pretty much all I got to show you for this part of the video. Let's go ahead and move to the outro. And that's the finish of the update this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, leave in the comment section below your thoughts on the build so far. I am super happy that we finally got started on the interior. I think things are looking really nice. I think that this week was a pretty heavy design week in terms of just figuring out how things were going to work together. And now that I've got that figured out, the next update is going to be a lot of repetition and really just getting the room filled out with all the sub-assemblies that I've already done, and also working on the lights as well as the fixtures that go on the sides of the walls at the top as well as the ceiling. So some really cool things to come when it comes to Kamino moving forward in this build series. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week. If you like what I do, go ahead, support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button. I'll be back again very soon.